John Legend is no longer just the next best thing to Jesus. He is Jesus. The 10-time Grammy Award winner is slated to star in NBC's upcoming live musical, Jesus Christ Superstar, live in concert. To put it bluntly, as beloved as this musician is, a black man playing Christ on the national stage is bound to raise some eyebrows in some parts of the country. Joining me now to talk about this, Joshua Dubois, former Religious Affairs Director under President Obama. Hi, Josh.
Hey there. Great to be on with you.
Nice to have you here. So, what do you think of this choice to play Jesus?
I think it's phenomenal casting. John Legend is, no pun intended, a legend. He's an Emmy and Grammy and Oscar winner, and he may be able to add a Tony to that now. But it's also historically accurate as well, Carol. We have to remember that, Jesus was an ethnic minority in his time. This was a Jewish man living under Roman occupation, and most biblical scholars would say that his skin was darker. He probably had an olive complexion like many people living in the Middle East today. And so to some extent, John Legend is probably a little bit closer to the historical Jesus than some of the images we see of Jesus today.
I know. I think a lot of people forget that Jesus was a Palestinian Jew, right?
That's right.
And Palestinian Jews don't have lily white skin. Yet throughout history, in paintings and pictures and also in many, many movies, Jesus is portrayed as this buff white guy. There's actually this famous comedy bit about that I want to play right now because it sort of says it all. So let's listen.
Yeah.
God, I'd like to get to 170, just ripped, just six-pack, just cooking, just ripped. Oh, man, ripped like Jesus. Yeah. Yes. Jesus was ripped. Am I wrong? No, you've seen the pictures. Ripped. Six-pack, ripped. Why wouldn't he be? He's the Son of God. He's not going to be walking around going, no, I got back fat today. I'm so puffy.
So it's right. It's funny, right? But it seems to be this requirement that Jesus has to be buff and he has to be sexy and he has to be handsome. Why is that?
Well, there's some history behind it. The portrayal of Jesus in a more European way came about actually over 600 years after he lived by Byzantine artists. And then in the early 20th century, as the United States was experiencing waves of immigrants, folks were not comfortable portraying Jesus with brown hair and brown eyes anymore. They wanted to make it clear that Jesus didn't look like these new immigrants that were coming to the U.S. And that's when the blue eyes and blonde hair started coming. And so this was a political act to portray Jesus in one way. And it's funny, but it also matters, because if you see people as made in the image of God and you only see God in one way, then it puts you, it creates some distance between yourself and marginalized people. And so the portrayal of Jesus has always been a political act.
And it's interesting. No one has any idea what Jesus looked like, because in the Bible, I guess in the Bible there are hints that Jesus wasn't all that charismatic looking. I don't want to say unattractive, because I don't know if that's quite accurate. What do you, because you're an expert, I'm not.
Yeah, well, the book of Revelations does talk about a man with hair like wool. It refers to skin that, in various interpretations is bronze or glowing. And so again, there's this Middle Eastern sort of sun-kissed sense of what Jesus likely looked like. But, I think it's important to note that for most Christians, the ethnicity of Jesus doesn't matter, because the gospel cuts across all different racial categories and ethnicities, and is for everyone. And so when you portray Jesus as just one particular background, that injects politics into a faith that's not supposed to have it. And that's why I think John Legend is great for this, because it's going to mess up people's categories and kind of shake things up a little bit.
It certainly is. Joshua Dubois, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.